Hey, and welcome to the 2021 fall season. We just had a spring season for golf. I apologize for my bald head. It might be glaring at you. But this is going to be the video that will take place at the parent meeting we usually did, which was one thing COVID really changed is that, it just made us wake up with some things that didn't really need to be done. So getting together for a parent meeting where I just tell you things that could be in a video or an email. Hopefully, those things are of the past. So, I'm going to go over some information for tryouts and just general information about the team. And obviously, if you want to talk to me, you can always give me a call or email me. We can even set up a Zoom meeting if you want to do that. So, I'm going to get right into it, and I will share these documents with you just in case you want it in writing. So for tryouts for golf, myself, Coach Feely, and Coach Macon will be around. Sometimes I'll have some previous players, alumni, walking with some of the groups just to kind of keep score in that. The number one thing, you should have a general idea of the rules when you try out for any sport, right? And I know golf has a lot of different rules, but you should be familiar with at least the basics of them, right? And so I've included some of them here. As far as etiquette, behavior on the course, this is the spirit of the game. Like some of these things aren't in the rules, but the way you behave, the way you replace divots and ball marks and hitting first and all that stuff. That's some stuff that's not written down. But golf is different than a lot of other sports. There's no referees, there's no umpires. We really have to police ourselves, and so, that's a big thing that we stress is that, we should do these things on our own when no one's watching, right? And that's why golf is so great. Um, you know, you can see all that stuff here. Spirit of the game. Here are some links to just some general rules that come up, a lot. This is the USGA websites. So just provisional balls. If you think your ball is going to be lost, just hit a provisional ball off the tee, and therefore, if you don't find the first one, you can play the second one. Let's see what else. Penalty areas, which is new. If you hit it into a water hazard, it used to be a water hazard. Now it's a penalty area. What rules, what options are available to you. That's all here. Out of bounds, provisional ball. The one thing we always go over is, if you're ever in doubt of a rule, you can always play two balls. It used to be rule 3-3. So we ask our guys to utilize that. As far as the season goes, please sign up for Family ID if you haven't done so already. So this is where they keep track of physicals, other important information. There's a link to that there. You cannot try out without a physical. Okay, you cannot try out without a physical. Those of you who are in middle school will have to go through the selective classification process, which is basically just a maturity test. And, that could be done by our PE teachers. We'll figure that out. We don't have an athletic director at the moment, but getting that done, we can call Mindy Stanton at the athletic office and we can get that taken care of. Schedule, here's a link to the schedule, which is just the matches at this point. I haven't put the practices in yet, but most practices will be, I'll get to that in a second, but right after school, either, playing on the course. Sometimes we'll do that. Sometimes we'll just go to the putting green, which will be, an hour and a half, or sometimes we'll go to the range. As far as the roster goes, we're going to have 12 players that travel all the time. Okay. However, I've gone back and forth with this. Golf is, we want to make it as inclusive as possible. So I don't think I'm going to cut this year, but that doesn't mean that you will get to do everything on the schedule, if that makes sense. The 12 players that, qualify in tryouts will definitely get to do everything, but some courses don't allow more than 12. There's just not enough room. There's not, enough space because there's so many people playing golf right now. So, you may make the team, that outside the top 12, but just ask to only come to certain practices, and I'll highlight which those practices are, um, just so that you're clear on your expectations and things like that. Um, that being said, this is a varsity sport. We really don't even have a JV, technically a JV golf team or a modified. So we ask that you're here all the time. I mean, this is not something where you can just do it once in a while. You have to be at every practice. You have to be at every match. Um, for practices, leave from school around 3:15. We usually start about 3:45. If you have an unexcused absence at school, you cannot be at a match or a practice. And that's the same in any sport. Some exceptions, obviously, religious functions, other school functions, college visits, family obligations, doctor's appointment. I always say, I don't like to be surprised, right? I always tell this to the kids, right? I don't want to show up to practice or a match and then someone's not there, right? That's surprising me. If I know in advance, I'm usually okay about these things, and that's just on the student athlete to just convey those things. Transportation is probably going to be a mess again this fall. And if you were around in the spring, you know that. There's just a lack of bus drivers and buses available. So we may need you to fill out a waiver, just saying that, you will transport your son or daughter to the match or the practice if it's at Endwell Greens or if it's at, Links at Hiawatha or another local course. We do have buses for the long trips. We do go to Horseheads and we do go to Corning, but we may need you to transport, and we can usually get this figured out with some sort of a carpool. On match days, just support your child, support your student athlete. Good sportsmanships. You cannot give them advice on the course. You can certainly watch. You can certainly find golf balls, help them find them, but you can't give advice. So you can't say, "Oh, you should have hit this club," or you should have done this shot, or anything like that. That's against the rules, and they're more strict in the varsity matches there than the JV ones. Obviously, I'm not going to, nobody's going to say anything if it's a JV match, but we want the kids to try to figure it out themselves. That's part of, athletics in general. Try to stay to the side, be on the cart paths. We don't really let people take carts out on the course just because it becomes a mess. So you have to walk. But, we all represent Union Endicott. And, even myself, I can't talk to the players unless it's between when they hole out on a hole in the next tee box. So, that's that. As far as playing time, I'm going to go over this in a second with the specifics. But, the top 12 based on score will be playing. The top 6 will be varsity, and the 7 through 12 will be on, quote unquote JV. The top 4 will be set. The 5 and 6 I will pick. The coaching staff will pick. If you have issues with that, obviously I'm going to talk to your son or daughter first, and be clear, communicate with them. If you have issues, just come to me, and I'll try to clear it up with you. And if something happens or we need to set up a meeting with the athletic director, we'll do that. But I ask that you wait 24 hours. Obviously we can all get caught up in the heat of the moment with some issues, and usually 24 hours it can kind of calm down, then we can deal with it. My number one objective is for your child to have a positive experience with golf. I want to be able to trust them on and off the course. That's my big goal here. I want them to be mature young adults, be ready for the future. And I'm going to stay on top of them as far as behavior, as far as grades. That is, what we're trying to get after here. Obviously, we want them to be good golfers, but we want them to be great people too. They're going to get uniforms. We have a ton of gear. So you don't have to worry about that. The only thing I would purchase if you don't have them already is a pair of black shorts or black pants, and then maybe a pair of gray shorts or gray pants. Usually we wear black. It's the easiest. They also get a golf bag. And then duty worn. So this is just a warning that you could get injured during any sport. Golf is no different. It's not as rough and physical as some other sports, but you could get hurt. And then finally, just the tryouts. It's going to be 27 holes of stroke play, 23rd to the 25th at Enjoy. So the Monday will be 8:30 a.m. tee times. Tuesday will be 7:30 a.m. tee times, and Wednesday will be 8:30 a.m. tee times. So we'll be done roughly around 11 o'clock every day. Like I said, top 12 scores will make up the travel roster, and then there's going to be coaches' picks. So there's some automatic qualifiers from last year. You can see those: Bertoni, Mahalik, Macon, Malo, Battellini, Foley, Drew, and Jay Carides. And the coaches' picks, we're looking at potential for growth, other aspects. Like I said, we're not going to cut this year. So the coaches' picks won't really come into play, but, we want this to be an inclusive sport. We want it to be, especially with young kids in middle school, we want them around the game so that they can grow, and we can kind of make this a feeder program. USGA rules, except for the lost ball one. If you lose your ball, you hit from the fairway and you're playing your fourth shot. That's a new rule. I'll convey that during tryouts. Provisional ball, we talked about that already. You can do that, but it's up to you. 3-3, always play 2 balls if you're not sure. And then there's a rules committee that will be around to help you with any sort of rules. Go over the rules before you sign the scorecard. Don't sign it, turn it in, and say, "Oh well, Tommy or Joey, he cheated on this hole." Before you don't sign the scorecard. If you think he cheated, tell me about it, and then we can go over it. We can talk about it, and then change the score or not. Pace of play is the number one thing. There's going to be a 10-shot rule. So I always say, good and bad golfers, they can all play fast. Okay, so we got to maintain that pace of play, take care of the course, rake the bunkers, replace the divots, fix the pitch marks, and any disruptive behavior is going to result in removal. I say everybody's going to make it, but if there's any discipline issues, we will change that. We want it to have fun, but we want it to be a respectful thing. So the top 4, again, this is going to be the season-long standings is going to be based on score. It's going to be your last and average of your last 4 scores. Okay, so tryouts will be 3 scores. We have a match on Thursday, the 26th. That will be 4 scores. That will give you your average. Okay, and that will be the top 4 for the year. Those top 4 will be locked in. They're always going to be playing varsity matches, those top 4. But the 5 and 6 will be determined. You take your 5th score, which would be another match, and then you drop, right, the first one, which would be the first day of tryouts. And you replace it with a new one. And so the 5-6 spots can change a lot, and they do. The other places on the team can change as well. For a number of reasons, I would change who's in the 5 and 6 spot if somebody's playing well at the moment. If I just have a good feeling about somebody, if I just trust them a little bit more, that can change. So that'll be all updated and emailed to you after each qualifying round. Sometimes in practice we'll have a qualifier round where we play for a score. That's that. I hope you get an idea of what we're doing this season. As always, if you have any questions, I will put that on Facebook. I will put it in an email, and I will also include these documents. Looking forward to a great season, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.